The YouTube algorithm explain. That is today's video that we're going to be checking out. This came about say 3 weeks ago, and apparently we have some new gems that we want to directly get into. Let's see.
YouTube creator liaison,
and I'm Todd. I lead the product team.
This is a video I believe a lot of people have been talking about on Twitter, at least.
System actually work?
So the first thing that creators should understand is that the recommendation systems are really centered around each individual viewer. So oftentimes creators will say, hey, the recommendation system is pushing out my video to people.
Or why isn't it pushing out my video to people?
Yeah, this is something that I often talk about, or they often mention when someone's like, hey man, my video's not, my channel is shadow banned or whatnot. Most likely it has to deal with not getting like impressions and recommendations. But let's see what they say further.
That, and the way it works is it isn't so much about pushing it out as much as it's pulling for each viewer. So when you open the homepage, YouTube is going to say, hey, Renee's here. We need to give Renee the best content that is going to make Renee happy today.
Makes sense. Viewer satisfaction at the end of the day.
Person and ranking the videos for them, as opposed to looking at each individual video and trying to figure out who might like it.
So there could be videos, like a video could have these absolute metrics, like its click-through rate, its view duration, all of that, but you might like it and I might not, and you would consider that when you recommend it.
Yeah, so a lot of creators, they look at their analytics and they're very focused on their aggregate performance, because that's the...
I feel like a lot of us creators out there, especially if, no matter if you have large channels or small channels, can get obsessed with the numbers. It happens to me a lot on all of my YouTube channels, and we could get really lost in the sauce. But at the end of the day, the YouTube algorithm is all about viewer satisfaction. That's truly what the niche is all about.
Easiest thing that we can kind of present. But the way the system's working is actually, it's not just using that average view duration or that average click-through rate. It's using the performance data as input, but ultimately trying to understand and predict for each viewer. It's kind of similar to how recommendations work outside of recommendation systems. When you want to figure out a movie to watch, one thing that I do is I talk to my friends and I say, hey, what have you seen lately? What do you want to see? And the recommendation system, sometimes we describe it as automating word of mouth.
I love that.
And by that we mean the system is able to understand what other viewers like you have watched, and then based on understanding what they enjoyed and what they didn't.
So pretty much, yeah, if you keep feeding the YouTube algorithm essentially what you enjoy or what your viewers enjoy, like the YouTube is all about trying to make videos for people, like for a specific audience, right? That's going to enjoy that content. And when you get these positive pushes from recommendations, the goal is to like continue to double down on that, right? At the end of the day, that seems to be one of the biggest things that they're going to continue to talk about. Let's increase this a little to make this a little faster.
It can help when it's time to give recommendations to you, to pull in sort of like those recommendations from other people. The nice thing about it is that can come in multiple ways. Yeah. So maybe like right now there's a video that reaches a certain audience, but then like in 6 months there's something else that's related that pops up that makes this video relevant again. Fortunately, makes sense. You know, our system is enabled to be able to recommend that again if it's relevant, and maybe to a different audience than enjoyed it the first time.
You've given me examples of that in the past where somebody will search for like a certain kind of video and find one.
This is why you don't delete your videos. A lot of people have been asking me the question, should you delete your YouTube videos if they're not performing well? What they're saying exactly is true. It's happened to me in the past on some of my other channels where there'll be a video that I release. Like for instance, I just released a video talking about like reaction videos, how to make reaction videos for 2025, right? Let's say another creator, you know, does a video about reaction videos, or more people want to search. Let's say there's another lockdown, you know, that happens here in the US. A lot more people want to create reaction videos or create YouTube content. Maybe my video will get picked up and recommended for those people that want to try out that type of content, especially if I'm talking about, all right, well, how to do reactions for copyrighted content. That might be something that people might be interested in. You know, when it comes to YouTube Shorts, if I make videos about, well, these are my experience for YouTube Shorts after like 60 days, maybe in YouTube releases a new feature for YouTube Shorts, that might get that video might get picked up in the recommendation system. So this is why I say don't delete your YouTube videos. They're data that can be recommended and can pop off later on.
one, and you'll be able to identify more audience, or something will pop up in the news and suddenly people are more interested in it, or a big creator will make a video on it and then people will see that and say, like, all these new ways where videos can find new audiences.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of like nostalgia as well, where there's just been enough time since people have thought about something, and then somebody kind of rediscovers some trend or concept, and they want to go back and kind of relive it through watching videos about that thing, and you see a resurgence of something that hasn't been popular for a while.
How much do you think about factors like time of day or device type? Like if I'm
my
on
most viral video was an old school
The
anime,
recommendation
folks,
system uses time of day
that had
and
got
device,
67 million
as some of the
views,
signals.
and you would not think that people would watch this old school anime in 2024, but just so happens that there was another video, I believe at that time Halloween was also around, so it started to get Devilman started to come back into the sphere of what people are talking about. My video took off, and I think on all platforms it's almost near 100 million views altogether. But yeah, stuff like that can happen.
That we learn from to understand if there's different content that is appealing in those different contexts. And so as a viewer, you can see different results at the same time on your television versus on your mobile phone, as well as different results in the morning versus the day. We try to identify if you tend to have a preference for like watching news in the morning and comedy at night. We'll try to lean into that. We'll try to learn from other viewers like you if they have that
Viewer behavior.
well for you. And all of it comes together to really just give the right content to the right viewer at the right time.
We often hear from creators like, what's the one number? Like, is it click-through rate? Is it watch time? How do creators like optimize for all of these factors?
One thing to understand is that there's no single answer to that question, as much
Makes
as
sense.
creators would love to have one. The reality is that we've enabled the system to learn that different factors can have different importance in different contexts. Watch time may be more important in television versus mobile, or maybe more important in certain types of content like podcasts as opposed to music. Like, does it really matter whether a music video is 4 minutes and 30 seconds versus 4 minutes in terms of the viewer satisfaction? Maybe watch time isn't really as important as something like a like in that context.
Sometimes when people hear about algorithms,
I would say for one of my most recent videos on my Drama Tensei channel that I've shown in the past on this channel here, the average view duration was over 100%. Meanwhile, the swipe through rate was like 50% to 60, and it's now sitting at over 1 million views. I showed that video off multiple times, so a lot of people would believe that the swipe through rate for shorts that's the most important factor, but people found that the actual video itself was way more entertaining, which is why it had over 100%. We're talking about a video that had 38 seconds, and the average view duration was almost 45 seconds for that particular short. So people were willing to watch it completely again because it was just, I guess it was something that was that interesting for the viewer base that found it. And for those people that swiped away, didn't find that much interesting. But I noticed that the swipe feature has continued to grow as the weeks have been going by so far, which is why that video is now over 1 million views.
they conflate that with just like engagement at all costs. But one of the things I love about YouTube is that it doesn't seem laser focused on just getting the maximum amount of engagement possible.
Yeah, so for quite a few years now, we've learned that not all time spent with video is equally valued by our viewers.
True.
We get feedback that viewers want some videos to be a lot more efficient in getting to the point and the value that they get from them. And so while we do look at how long people watch videos, it's only one of the factors that we consider when understanding the value people are getting. We introduced this concept of satisfaction quite a few years ago, where we're trying to understand not just about the viewer's behavior and what they do, but how do they feel about the time they're spending? What would they say about their experience watching a video? We ask them directly with surveys built into the product. We collect millions of responses and feed that.
For those of you who are watching this particular video, even though we're doing a reaction to theirs, like, do you find more videos, like when you watch your YouTube videos, are you weighing your satisfaction in the value spent watching it, or in the information like gained? What is the exact value you try to extract from videos? I feel like those people who might be watching my video right now, they're looking for information, right? They're looking for anything that can help them succeed on YouTube. If you're watching a music video, like maybe it's a song that you want to have on your playlist. Maybe it's an artist that you want to listen to. If it's a video game, maybe it's something about the video game, the lore, like what is the value that you're trying to extract? And I mean, every single YouTube video is pretty much different, or I guess you could say in the niche, in the drama niche. Is this video funny? Am I looking for a funny video right now? Am I looking for something to watch on the weekend, you know? What is the exact value?
Recognize when creators are delivering kind of more value per minute,
Yeah.
or more total value than maybe the time spent would indicate otherwise. And so we look at things like likes, dislikes, these survey responses. People can tell us they're not interested in certain recommendations. We have a variety of different signals to get at this satisfaction. And we've seen that when we add those signals into the ranking, that it actually leads to people coming back to YouTube more in the long run. And that's really what our goal is. It's not just to get
Return viewers is
That's
the
not-
most
that's not the
important
point. The point
factor
is that
to
we
me
wanna
on
build a
YouTube
relationship
right
with our
now.
audience, just as creators want to do with their fans, so that we can.
And that's pretty much
have
what he's
viewers
also
coming
saying.
back, because we're delivering a lot of value to them in the long run.
So for creators, do you think it's less important to look at absolute, like what's your CTR, what's your watch time, and more like how they're currently performing and how they can improve based on their metrics and not like a universal sense of metrics?
Yeah, I think creators seek out benchmarks because they want to know, like, is this good? I totally understand that. Unfortunately, like, the reality with the way the metrics work, and the fact that they're kind of dependent on who saw the video and how broadly it was distributed, it's really the ultimate CTR you get, or the ultimate absolute watch time you get. It's not really comparable like across channels, and it's even sometimes challenging to interpret when you're comparing across videos within the same channel. Increasingly, while we do provide those metrics, I would take a step back and also think about your higher level goal as a creator.
Yeah.
And oftentimes creators talk to us about views, they talk to us about building up subscribers, or
Yeah, that what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Like, if we compare channels, especially for those of you who've been asking for my opinion on how's your channel, like how can you can appeal to your audience, because these are a lot of niches that I just don't know about, and I'm just choosing a lot of niches that I'm mostly interested in. I try to look for what I think people would find value in it. If I'm in a basketball niche, I'm gonna talk about the most trending news. That's especially if I feel people will get more value for that. Maybe it might be in the basketball niche, and the channel that I do might care more about stats. Maybe people might care more about the history of basketball, but that's all within the basketball niche. I'm in the anime niche. People may care about only isekai anime that I watch. I'm in the K-drama niche. People may only care about romance K-dramas that I watch. I'm in the tech niche. People may only care about the latest, things going on with cell phones or laptops, or what's going on with NVIDIA's 50 series. So there's a lot of different values, and and I also feel it comes down to the return viewers, what they're talking about here, and putting a less onus on subscribers. So it's really that viewer satisfaction, how many people you can get returning to your channel. Because even if they don't subscribe, it's most likely that those people become subscribers over time. So that's why return viewership is so important when it comes to, I guess you could say the algorithm in 2025.
or maybe they have goals that are about selling merchandise or something else. And maybe for those goals, the number of views you're getting is ultimately what you care about,
Or the quality of the views, or the conversion rate of the views, or
right. And so if you are struggling a bit with the depths of all the different types of data, maybe just take a step back and say, okay, well, just as one example, would you as a creator rather have a video that has a 20% CTR and 10,000 views, or a 5% CTR and 100,000 views?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna answer that question. I'd rather have the 5% with the 100,000 views, right? All day, every day.
Absolutely. The second.
Right. Which video do you think was better?
The video with 5%, and well, I'd have to look at a lot more metrics to give you a real answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, as a creator, I would be satisfied with a video that reached a larger audience. I might be looking at, is there an opportunity to reach an even larger audience by making the thumbnail,
that much more appealing.
But
yeah.
given that it's achieved my goal, that's probably the most important part in terms of like comparing those two videos. And so, don't forget to take a step back and look at the big picture, because those view numbers and those impression numbers, they encapsulate all the factors that go into the recommendation system. So if it's performing relatively well in terms of CTR versus other videos that your audience or the new audience might be interested in, it's going to end up getting more impressions because it's going to rank higher in the feed.
Yes.
What about multi-language audio? We have creators now,
So
for example,
just so that people understand, like with the two options of 20% CTR but like 10,000 views, and then you have a 5% CTR for 100,000 views. All intents and purposes, a lot of people would love to have the video that has the 100,000 views, because you're going to have that immediate, it feeds your goal immediately, especially if you're talking about exposure. Likewise, having that video with a 20% CTR, it's great, because maybe that's the specific field, like maybe it's in the tech field or the finance field, where a CTR like that is absolutely needed, because the viewership doesn't matter as much Mainly because not all viewership is created equal. We're talking about if you were to have 100,000 views in like the tech or finance field, and you're looking at that to relate towards CPM, RPMs. That's well, the difference in dollar amounts is staggering, right? Compared to if you're in the movie field, where you would love to have that CTR, but you're really looking at the viewership at the end of the day. I mean, over time, maybe that 20% CTR is going to look great, but most people, we're all most people, we're all gonna want the 5% with 100,000 views.
Uploading the main language, the first language, and then a week later uploading a dub track. How are you thinking about recommendations in a multi-language, sometimes asynchronous world?
When we first started
Multi-language,
enabling
okay.
creators to upload different audio tracks, or dubs as some people call them, we needed to add some new capabilities to our system in the recommendation side to make them aware that this video actually is available in multiple languages. So that was one thing that we did to start enabling those to reach different audiences.
Mr. Beast was one of like the first people to actually utilize that.
So that we could learn different signals for each track independently, rather than just understanding the video across languages. We want to know, oh, well, this is working especially well in this particular language, but not so well in this other language. And so we set up those feedback loops to learn from that performance. So if you're a creator who's interested in extending your reach through dubs, what I'd recommend you do is a couple things. First, make sure that your titles and descriptions, that you're also uploading translated titles and descriptions, so that
which I started to do.
Recommend or return and search these videos in different languages. Users can see those and know what they would be.
I started to do that on my K-drama channel.
That there's benefits from having more of your catalog available in a particular language. So when a viewer does discover your channel, they can watch more than just like one video. The more catalog that they have to choose from, the more likely it is that they'll find another video that they'll enjoy watching, which is a great signal back to us that you provided great value. So we've seen in particular creators who dub at least 80% of the viewership of their channel, I think it's watch time, tend to have more success than those who dub less. Recognize that there's kind of a critical mass in terms of offering a catalog in a language. So you might want to focus on, getting to that like 80% of your catalog within a few languages, rather than doing like 20%.
So difficult because it does require way more money. I've experimented with it so far on my shorts by translating some of my shorts into other languages that I know appeal to different regions and whatnot. Sure, the average RPM CPMs might be lower, but the viewership would be a lot higher, and then in return the goal is for the viewership from these other regions to boost those videos up, so that YouTube can get positive feedback saying that, all right, well, these regions really like this video, YouTube, please push it out to even more people, expand the circle, expand the reach. So when I get more return viewers, because my videos are in English, Spanish, Hindi, Filipino, like Tagalog, like there's so many like different languages out there that I try to utilize, Japanese, Korean, try to get the point across like that, so I could get even more people to come to watch my videos.
Based on watch time, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to go back 8 years, but like the things people are currently watching.
That's right.
I think that's great because you talked before about the power of series and giving viewers a journey and the ability to have things that if they love this video, what's the next thing they're going to want to watch for you? And that just seems to translate into the multi-language as well. We talked previously about like the recommendation system, and sometimes views can go down for videos. We sometimes hear creators talk about views going down channel-wide as well. What are some of the things you look to when creators are talking about ebbs and flows in views?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is that it's natural.
Yes.
And just because your views on your channel are going down in a particular period doesn't mean that like your channel is going to die and go to zero. We see many waves of interest in channels.
Currently going with my Faceless channel that I've been making shorts and long form on
quite a bit. Will then come back up quite a bit. Unfortunately, we don't hear as much from creators when their channel is like enormously going up.
That makes sense. No one ever complains about why their channel is like. No one ever says, "Hey man, my channel is exploding. What's wrong here? Like, what am I doing wrong?" Everyone's like, "Hey man, I did a video a few days ago. I'm like, hey man, why did this particular video stop receiving views?" And made a video on it, so that because people have that same type of issue. So I just wanted to like note that. But hey, maybe I should ask YouTube, hey man, why is this video doing so well? Like, what am I doing like good? Tell me, please.
Down, creators get concerned, but so the first thing is to just recognize this is natural. It's not particularly reasonable to expect that you're going to always be at your highest level of views from all time. That doesn't mean that it's the end of the career. It could just mean that wasn't as good as your all-time best. So it's normal. I would encourage you not to worry about it too much and just focus on What can you do to continue to evolve, respond to the feedback you're getting from your audience and from the analytics? Sometimes you may need to move on from a particular format or topic that has worked well for you in the past because the audience has been saturated on that particular area.
A couple of things you've told me have been very helpful. One is don't just look at the current month in analytics, but go out to the year to see if maybe there are spikes and returns to normal, or a couple of years to look at seasonality.
Yes, we do see seasonality can play a role.
Okay.
Encourage you to look beyond 90 days or more to kind of see the full context. Oftentimes,
90 days is
creators that
what I'm
saw a
looking
nice
at
boost
with a
in
lot of my
demand around
current
the
channels
election,
too.
in the U.S. earlier this year, and then people moved on to watch other things after the election happened. And so think about some of those external dynamics.
Timing, topics,
Google Trends
those do matter.
You can see trends in how often people are searching on YouTube for particular topics. And while that doesn't always tell the whole story, it can give you one interesting signal about just like how much demand there is in a particular area. The other thing to keep in mind is the other side of the ecosystem is supply and demand. On the supply side, we do see dynamics that happen where a particular trend might or topic that has increased interest in the early parts of the trend. There may be only a few channels or a few videos about something, and so
they catch that wave, that blow up.
So a lot of views per video, and then later there might be a lot more creators that are producing content in that area, and you might see more supply than demand. And so those.
What he just said right here is a reason why a lot of people who have faceless channels decide not to show their faceless channels. I mean, this is just something that you'll see a lot in the guru space. You got to watch out for scammers, of course. And people who lie about the analytics, but some people are just really truly afraid of competition and will never show their winning hand. And I understand that. Like, there are channels, especially like, I'm building a lot of personal brands and I'm building a lot of in public channels, but there probably will be a channel or two or three that I will be building that I won't show at all, that I like own that channel or anything like that until it reaches a certain amount of success. Because at the end of the day, you have ideas, you have goals that maybe somebody else doesn't have at all, or nobody else has really cracked that field, and you want to see how you do it with it first before somebody else, maybe larger than you, maybe more money than you, goes and tries to do that idea, right? Because there's an advantage with YouTube at the end of the day. We're talking about pretty much cultivating your unfair advantage. For a lot of people, their unfair advantage is time, right? A lot of people may not realize what I'm saying with that right now, but you have time to search and do YouTube every single day. Well, that's an advantage that other people don't have. What another advantage people have is knowledge. I might be highly knowledgeable about the, let's say, the anime space or the Asian drama space, or even to some people now about YouTube. And I can cultivate that into, like, for instance, to make more money and whatnot. Let's say I was a guru that was selling courses and whatnot, which I'm not. That's something that could happen in the future that you can cultivate, right? Because people see that, hey, you've had the success and they want to, have that same type of success as well. Well, you can monetize that. If you are a successful creator that's made thousands upon thousands of dollars and you're transparent, that type of transparency people do like. And I'm just transparent on the sake that I just want to build YouTube channels. We're trying to make a YouTube empire. And obviously we're starting not from scratch, but we're on our way trying to build up. There's going to be success and failures, and I want to highlight a lot of that. So, all right, let's finish up this video.
Going to interact and will ultimately influence how much views there will be per video.
Another bit of advice that I really loved, you said look at the subscription tab, because that's a way to see how your core audience is reacting without any involvement from the algorithm.
I use my subscription tab to look at my competitors.
It's a chronological feed of that viewer's channels that they've subscribed to. So it's a pretty consistent audience that's going into that tab to catch up on their subscriptions that doesn't have any sort of like dynamics of the recommendation system in it. And so I encourage creators to look at that, is because it's kind of a controlled little area. And then you can look at, like, well, what is the click-through rate and what is the average view duration of subscribers who are looking for those videos in their feed. And it can give you a little bit more of a benchmark to kind of on the content in an apples to apples.
Yeah. Is it me or is it the algorithm?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but yeah.
It can help you understand.
I feel that a lot of people should have a YouTube channel to look at their competitors in the space that they're in.
Maybe
everyone's a competitor at the end of the day, right? Even if the competition's for fun.
Sometimes people forget that, like, you can only you'll recommend a video to an audience, but some videos actually have a smaller audience than other videos, or they have a much more narrow focus, or just the broadness of appeal is different.
That's right.
Earlier this year, some of the talks that we did at like VidSummit and VidCon, you mentioned bringing more large language models into recommendations. How is that working?
Yeah. So for those of you who have played around with Gemini or ChatGPT or some of these other chatbots, the technology behind them.
Yeah, YouTube is really getting on with AI, folks. They are going hard with it.
Attempt to make them more relevant to viewers. How does this work? in a couple different ways. One, because the models are larger, and what that enables them to do is develop a deeper, more nuanced understanding of content, of the and of each view. Indian cooking, it might actually be able to understand the ingredients of the dish better, and maybe some more elements of the video style and how it's presented, or the emotions that the creator might be conveying. These are all things that a larger model could enable. Smaller models tend to rely a lot.
YouTube also just recently released some AI related stuff in terms of like having AI generated images. So I would probably, me myself will probably be a fool if I don't try something dealing with AI. I made a video about a week or two ago now that's saying that I want to get into the AI stories niche itself, but take it with a little bit more of an original take in terms of like the stories itself, but maybe let AI do the AI generated images based off other images that I work with other artists with. So hey, there's more niches out there that somebody might be like, hey man, that sounds like a good idea, I'm going to snatch that. That's fine. It's all about execution at the end of the day and viewer satisfaction. So maybe they will execute it better than me, maybe they won't. You know, that's a lovely thing about YouTube.
Viewer, for example, whereas a larger language model can learn a more generalized pattern of, rather than just like this single video with this audience, it's like, oh, this type of video, and this, and the patterns could be much more nuanced. So to use an analogy here, taking the cooking example, a small model that's memorizing is kind of like a cook that is reading from a recipe. It's like a fixed set of instructions, and I'm going to make this this dish, and you know, the fact that I can execute those instructions doesn't necessarily mean I'm an expert chef. So
that's very true.
You know, larger model would be more like an expert chef that can not only follow recipes but understands the fundamentals behind cooking, and they can more dynamically respond to different conditions. And now you still have to serve them up a dish. The chef, who has more nuanced understanding, will know, enabling our better recommendations. We want to be more like the expert here, and keep the feedback coming. So if you have feedback from me,
so essentially everything that this video was about was all about a lot about feedback, right? Main takeaways once again for this video, it's YouTube recommendations. Return viewers are even more important than your subscribers. A lot of people do value subscriber numbers. Like I said, it's great to have the big subscriber number. It's great to have like the YouTube play button and whatnot for in terms of like validations and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, you know, I've shown you guys on one of my channels itself, like you can have that massive subscriber number and the goal of it being like over 100,000 subscribers and whatnot. But if you're not pulling in, let's say, massive amount of views, you know, then it kind of looks bad. So you gotta look at your channel, you gotta look at yourself, you gotta see exactly what is working, what's not working, and make adjustments from there. And this YouTube journey is literally this journey to start making like 10K a month. Is why I like to do so much research, why I like to check out a lot of things, especially seeing what's up with YouTube and their updates. You know, this is a video that came out 3 weeks ago, and because it wasn't infiltrating my timeline on the particular channel that I watched this content on, I didn't see this until it was I think vidIQ posted a video on their channel probably like a few hours ago or something like that. And if here we go, vidIQ 14 hours ago launched this video talking about YouTube new algorithm updates and whatnot. And if I didn't check out vidIQ, then I would have not known about this video that did drop. And then on this channel, they like to condense what the algorithm updates are. So yes, I'll be utilizing a lot of new things that we learned in the video, and then a lot of the time it's like reaffirming things that I already know and just want to have confirmation that I'm on the right path. And I feel that that's really a great thing when it comes to just having knowledge about YouTube itself. So if any of you guys found this video informational, if you wanted to check out the original video, I'll leave a link in the description bar down below. If you guys want to follow along with my particular YouTube journey, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll be catching you guys tomorrow for another video. So stay tuned, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Doses.